In the annals of American history, the Texas frontier stands as one of the most captivating yet tumultuous landscapes, a place where dreams of freedom often collided with harsh realities. It was a space of clashing cultures, shifting boundaries, and immense struggle. Amid this backdrop of conflict and opportunity, Britt Johnson emerged as a figure whose life story resonates with themes of survival, courage, and resilience born into bondage. Johnson defied the systemic limitations of his time to protect his family, assert his humanity, and leave a legacy that continues to inspire. Britt Johnson's life journey encapsulates the essence of the Texas frontier in the mid-19th century, a region characterized by its paradoxes. For settlers, the land represented boundless possibilities, but it was also fraught with danger and uncertainty. For Native Americans, it was their ancestral home under siege, while for African Americans like Johnson, the frontier offered both profound hardships and rare opportunities for agency. By examining Johnson's life in exhaustive detail, we gain a richer understanding of the challenges and triumphs of this extraordinary period in American history. The roots of oppression. Britt Johnson's early life. Although the specifics of Britt Johnson's early life remain elusive, it is generally accepted that he was born into slavery in the early 1830s, likely in Kentucky or Tennessee. Both states were entrenched in the institution of slavery, a system that was not only an economic cornerstone but also a social order rooted in racial subjugation. To fully appreciate Johnson's resilience, we must first understand the world into which he was born. A world that systematically denied African Americans their humanity in states like Kentucky and Tennessee. Enslaved people were subjected to grueling labor, whether in agriculture, skilled trades, or domestic service. Children born into slavery like Johnson were often thrust into this harsh reality from a young age. Early experiences of separation from family members were common, as enslaved families were routinely torn apart by sales or relocations. This fracturing of familial bonds was one of the many cruelties of slavery, yet it also fostered a deep sense of determination among those who yearned to reclaim their loved ones, a determination that would later define Johnson's actions. Despite the oppressive environment, enslaved individuals often found ways to assert their humanity through communal bonds, spiritual practices, and acts of quiet resistance. They preserved aspects of their cultural identity and sustained hope for a better future. It is within this context of resilience that Britt Johnson's character began to take shape. A new frontier. Johnson's moved to Texas in the mid-19th century. The American frontier was rapidly expanding westward, with Texas emerging as a key destination for settlers seeking land and opportunity. For enslaved African Americans, however, the move to Texas often meant further displacement and intensified exploitation. Enslavers brought their human property to Texas to work on farms, ranches, and plantations, taking advantage of the state's vast landscapes and lenient slave laws. By the 1850s, Britt Johnson had become part of this migration, working for a white family, the Fitzpatricks, near Weatherford, Texas. The town was a microcosm of the frontier experience, marked by the dual forces of settler expansion and Native American resistance. For African Americans like Johnson, life on the frontier offered moments of relative freedom, but was ultimately defined by the harsh realities of slavery and racial discrimination. Johnson's role in the Fitzpatrick household likely involved a combination of labor-intensive tasks and skilled work. His resourcefulness and ability to navigate the complexities of frontier life would later prove invaluable, particularly during times of crisis. The frontier landscape, a collision of cultures. To understand the world Britt Johnson inhabited, it is essential to explore the broader dynamics of the Texas frontier. By the mid-19th century, the region was a hotbed of conflict, with settlers encroaching on lands that had long been home to Native American tribes. Among the most formidable of these tribes were the Comanche and Kiowa, who fiercely resisted the loss of their territories. The Comanche, known as the Lords of the Plains, were master horsemen whose dominance extended across vast swaths of the southern plains. Their culture revolved around mobility, warfare, and trade, and they viewed settler expansion as an existential threat. Similarly, the Kiowa, with their rich traditions of storytelling, artistry, and warrior societies, sought to preserve their way of life, against encroaching settlers and soldiers for settlers. The Texas frontier represented opportunity, but also danger. The promise of land ownership and economic prosperity came with a constant threat of raids, skirmishes, and the challenge of surviving in a harsh and often unpredictable environment. This dynamic of confrontation and adaptation shaped the experiences of all who lived on the frontier, including Britt Johnson. The Elm Creek Raid tragedy strikes. The defining moment of Britt Johnson's life occurred on October 13, 1864, during the infamous Elm Creek Raid. At the time, Johnson had left his homestead to procure supplies for the Fitzpatrick family with whom his wife Mary and their children were living. Unbeknownst to Johnson, a coalition of Comanche and Kiowa warriors was preparing to strike the settlement. The raid, one of many during this turbulent period, was both a strategic and symbolic act for the native warriors. For the Comanche and Kiowa, raids were not only about acquiring resources, but also asserting their sovereignty and resisting settler encroachment. The settlers, however, experienced such attacks as devastating assaults on their homes, livelihoods, and families. When the raiders descended on Elm Creek, the destruction was swift and merciless. Homes were burned, livestock stolen, and settlers either killed or taken captive. Among those captured were Mary Johnson and her two surviving children. When Britt Johnson returned, he found his youngest son, Jim, dead, a loss that would haunt him for the rest of his life. A father's resolve, the quest for redemption. The aftermath of the raid presented Britt Johnson with an unimaginable choice: to accept the loss of his family or to embark on a perilous journey to recover them. Johnson chose the latter, demonstrating an extraordinary level of courage and determination. His quest to rescue his wife and children became a defining chapter in his life, showcasing his ability to navigate the complexities of the frontier with skill and perseverance. Johnson's pursuit of the raiders was a daunting task. The vastness of the Texas plains, combined with the unpredictability of native movements, made tracking the captives an almost impossible challenge. Yet Johnson's intimate knowledge of the landscape, honed through years of labor and observation, proved invaluable. Equally remarkable was Johnson's approach to negotiation. Armed with trade goods, he sought to engage the native tribes diplomatically, leveraging his understanding of their customs and hierarchies. The strategy required not only material resources, but also immense courage, as Johnson had to enter spaces where he was viewed with suspicion or hostility. After months of effort, Johnson succeeded in recovering his wife, Mary, and their two children. His success was not only a personal triumph, but also a testament to his resourcefulness and determination. Moreover, his actions challenged the prevailing stereotypes of African Americans during this period, demonstrating that they, too, were active agents in shaping the frontier's history. Life after emancipation, a new chapter. The end of the Civil War in 1865 marked the beginning of a new chapter in Britt Johnson's life. With the abolition of slavery, he gained his freedom and set out to build a life for his family. As a freedman settling near Weatherford, Texas, Johnson established himself as a rancher and cattle trader, professions that offered both economic stability and a measure of independence. The Reconstruction era was a time of profound transformation for African Americans. While emancipation opened doors to new opportunities, it also exposed freedmen to new forms of discrimination and violence in Texas. The persistence of white supremacist attitudes, coupled with the rise of groups like the Ku Klux Klan, created a volatile and often dangerous environment for African Americans. Despite these challenges, Johnson thrived. His reputation as a skilled negotiator and courageous protector earned him respect within his community. He became a symbol of resilience, embodying the ideals of hard work and determination that defined the frontier spirit. The complexity of frontier relationships. One of the most fascinating aspects of Britt Johnson's story is his ability to navigate the complex relationships between settlers, Native Americans, and African Americans. The Texas frontier was a place of constant negotiation, where alliances and conflicts often transcended traditional racial and cultural boundaries. Johnson's interactions with native tribes in particular highlight his adaptability and strategic thinking. His willingness to engage in diplomacy, even with those who had caused him profound loss, reflects a deep understanding of the interconnectedness of frontier life. This ability to bridge divides, however tenuous, underscores Johnson's exceptional character and foresight. The tragic end. January 23, 1871. Britt Johnson's life came to a tragic end on January 23, 1871. While traveling to retrieve cattle near Graham, Texas, Johnson and his companions, Dennis Curitan and Paint Crawford, were ambushed by a group of Kiowa warriors. The attack, which was likely motivated by long-standing grievances, left all three men dead. Johnson's death was a profound loss, not only for his family, but also for the broader community he had served and inspired. Yet even in death his legacy endured, segmented by the stories of his bravery and determination that were passed down through generations. Britt Johnson's story is a powerful reminder of the resilience of the human spirit. His life challenges traditional narratives of the frontier, offering a more nuanced perspective on the roles of African Americans, Native Americans, and settlers in shaping the American West. For African Americans, Johnson's legacy represents a source of pride and inspiration. His ability to assert his agency and protect his family, even in the face of overwhelming odds, underscores the contributions of African Americans to the frontier's development. For Native American history, Johnson's interactions with tribes highlight the complexities of cultural exchange and conflict on the frontier. His story serves as a lens through which we can better understand the motivations and struggles of Native communities during this period. Ultimately, Britt Johnson's life offers universal lessons about courage, perseverance, and the pursuit of justice. His story is not just a tale of one man's journey, but a reflection of the broader human experience, resonating with themes that transcend time and place.